Fresh with Fresh and Felicia. Today, we're going to make a couple of mugs as part of your... I can't even tell these people how much you earn a year between your Etsy store and craft fairs and selling stuff to friends and family.
We do pretty good.
7 digits, 8 digits? Including or not including the decimal
point? I wouldn't
point?
get crazy.
Yeah, you did very, very well. Anyway, what are we making today?
Today we're going to do a mug. We're going to show the difference between using infusible ink and permanent vinyl and how both are good and bad, pros and cons of each as we create our first mug.
I see you have colors on this one. That's kind of cool. Like a kind of a infusion of colors here, some blue and green.
Yeah, kind of like a gradient of the two.
And you can't feel this here.
No, you cannot.
So this you can feel, and yes. This is, well, you could probably do multiple colors on this too, but you have a lot more work, wouldn't it?
You absolutely could do multiple colors. You're not going to get a gradient look like that unless you actually found permanent vinyl that had a gradient built into it.
That is possible too.
Yeah.
As far as longevity, washing it, how long are these going to last?
The infusible ink is going to last you a whole lot longer. It's actually infused into the mug. You can't feel it. It's not something you can scratch off.
It looks like it came with the mug.
Right?
We have to use special mugs for this?
You do. You need to use a sublimation mug when you're using infusible ink.
But any mug for permanent vinyl?
Any glass for permanent vinyl.
Let's go ahead and make it. Hard? How long does it take you to do it?
It doesn't take that long to do it.
All right.
No, it's pretty quick. It's fairly easy. We'll give you the step-by-steps.
Let's jump in.
All right, so for this project today, we're going to be making a mug with our design. And so we've got a mug. This is actually a Cricut mug, which means that it's a mug that can accept sublimation, which is what infusible ink really is. So we've got a mug, we've got our mug press, we've got a heat-resistant mat. We're going to be using our paper trimmer, our vinyl trimmer, a weeding tool, heat-resistant tape, infusible ink, permanent vinyl, a mat, transfer tape, a lint roller, and our Cricut Maker. All right, the first thing we're going to do is go to designbundles.net.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's designbundles.net?
It's a website.
I see it's got all kinds of stuff. Does it have like pre-cut designs?
It has not pre-cut, but designs that you can use to download and actually use in your Cricut software and make for yourself. You can make these designs. A lot of these designs you can make and sell or give them as gifts.
That's pretty cool. This looks like this would provide a ton of inspiration in those moments when you get stuck and you don't know what to say or make.
100% agree.
You know what? I heard they have embroidery designs. And
they do. They have a ton of stuff in here. They not only have designs for cutting and embroidery, but they also have fonts that you can use as well.
That's pretty cool. Now, you're an affiliate for this company, right?
Correct.
Now, this thing here, like $2, Inspirational Quotes SVG bundle. What do I get for $2?
For $2, you get 50 different designs.
Holy smokes.
You can see if I click through, each one of these pages is a different set of designs that are included as part of this bundle. It's an inspirational bundle. I mean, that's for $2, 50 graphics. That's amazing.
And then you can use these as many times as you want and put them on whatever you want and then sell the product, the finished product?
Absolutely can.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah, it's a huge
So we're going to go ahead and use this. And we've already downloaded this from Design Bundles. We've made the purchase, downloaded it, and have unzipped it onto our computer. So if you haven't done that yet and you want to do that, follow along, go ahead and make that purchase and download and unzip that file to your computer now. The next thing we're going to do is open up Cricut Design Space software. And on a new blank canvas, go ahead and on the left and click the Upload button. From here, we're going to upload one of the images of the 50 that we just downloaded from designbundles.net. You're going to want to click on the Upload Image button and then click on Browse. Locate the location on your computer where you unzipped that bundle and then find the image that you want to work with. In my case, I'm going to use graceandhustle.svg. So I find that in my list. I click Open. It gives me a preview of what the image is going to be. It is a cut image, and I'm going to click Upload in the bottom right corner. Now it's uploaded into Cricut Design Space. I'm going to click on it to actually use it and click Add to Canvas in the bottom right corner. From here, the image comes in very large. I can scale it up or down by using the bottom right corner by clicking and dragging or resizing the image at the top under size. I'm also going to want to go under Shapes on the left and select Circle. So when I do so, it drops a circle into my canvas and I can click and drag and resize that image as I want. I can also go under Arrange with it selected and click back to send it to the back behind the image. I can then grab that image and resize it to fit nicely within the circle the way I want it. And if I'm happy with the sizing, I can then select both by clicking and dragging across both of them and go to Align Center. Now I can click and drag both together to resize it to the size that I want. In my case, I'm going to be putting this on a mug, so I'm going to size this down to about 3.5. Okay, I actually want the image Grace and Hustle to appear through the circle and not be an additional layer on top of the circle. So what I have to do is slice each one of these layers that make up the image with the circle so that it appears as a cut through. So to do that, I need to select the Grace and Hustle image, and on the far right under layers, click ungroup. When I do that, each piece is a different layer. Now I can work with it. So I'm going to click on Grace, and in the far right, I'm going to hold the shift key down and click on the circle. So now I have 2 layers selected, Grace and the circle. And with both layers selected, in the bottom right, I'm going to click slice. When I do that, it then takes and adds 2 slice layers over on the right. If I click both of them, shift click both of them, and hit the delete key, you can now see that the word Grace is a cut through of the circle and is no longer a layer on top of it. I'm going to click the arrow for undo, and I'm going to grab the ampersand and the circle with Grace already cut out and do the same process. You have to do each layer separately with slicing. You can't do the whole image and all the different layers as one big slice. So when I did the ampersand, it added 2 layers. Click delete, do the same with Hustle, click slice, and get rid of the extra slices. And now I have one image with the words Grace and Hustle as cut through the circle. I'm ready to send this off to cut on the Cricut Maker. So I want to make sure that the Maker is selected in the upper right corner. That's what I'm using today, and then click Make It. So now that we're on the Prepare Mat screen, we can see that our image says Grace and Hustle. Now because this is an image that is using words, we're going to want to turn mirror on. So this is something you need to do when you're using Infusible ink or any type of iron-on material. So on the far left, you're going to want to click the mirror button so that it turns green. Then you can see on the mat, it has now flipped my image in reverse. Then once we're happy with that, you can also see here on this, it's got the matte grid lines. I can tell that this image is just over 3.5 by 3.5. This is important for when we get to the point of cutting our vinyl. We're going to go ahead and click the continue button. It's going to go off and make a Bluetooth connection to my Cricut Maker 3. When it's found that connection, it then gives me a listing of all the popular or favorites. I can switch back and forth of the different materials that I have selected or used frequently. If it's not here that what I'm looking for, I can click on Browse All Materials, and in the search box I could type Infusible ink. It then finds it and I select it and then click Done on the bottom right. Now because I've selected Infusible ink, it's warning me to make sure that mirror is turned on, which we know it is. On the far left you can see mirror is on, and that when we go to put the material on our mat, we want to make sure that it's the ink side is up. All right, with that done, we're going to go ahead and stop here with the Design Space and actually show cutting the material and loading it on the mat. All right, so we're going to start first by making our Infusible ink mug. So we're going to take, this is the watercolor Infusible ink by Cricut. It comes in a black protective cover because you want to keep the light away from the designs to keep it from fading. Although it looks like the designs are actually faded because the material is pretty light right now. You will see the color pop once we actually heat this up. In this particular roll, there's 3 or 4 different designs. I've used several already, as you can tell. I keep all my scraps, so I'm going to see if I can make this piece work. I want it to be about 4 by 4 for our design. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. And we'll put the rest of that away, but here is our design. So, we're going to take our Cricut mat, remove the plastic protector cover, and take our vinyl. Now, if you remember in the Cricut Design Space, it says to mirror, make sure your image is mirrored, and to put the ink side up. So we've got this clear plastic back with the pretty color on the front. So we're going to put the pretty color up front. On top, just like that. So you can see Our design is on the mat. We've already told it to go to what the material is, so the machine is ready. We're going to click the load button. It's going to read the mat, make sure that it's the right size. And then once it's done doing the read, the play button or the go button is going to be lit and flashing. We're just going to go ahead and click that, and the machine will start cutting for us. All right, once the design is done cutting, we're going to press the unload button. And what we're going to do is weed out the pieces and parts that we don't need of our design. So we don't need the outer part of the circle. So we'll take the outside part off so we can reveal our circle itself. Now you know we used Grace and Hustle with the ampersand as our design. We actually want the words to show through the vinyl, through the infusible ink, so that the words are going to be white, which is the color of our mug. So we're going to weed out those pieces from our design. When we pull it up off of our mat, you can see this is what the design's going to look like, but these colors. All right, so we're going to take our mug and we're going to align our image on our mug, and we're going to use some heat resistant tape to stick it to it. So we've got our mug, our image aligned on our mug. I'm just going to grab a couple pieces of tape to make sure that it doesn't slip or move when we're doing our heat press. So our infusible ink design is adhered to our mug with heat resistant tape, and now we're ready to put in the mug press. We've got our heat press out. We've already got it plugged in and turned on, and you want to make sure that you're in a really well ventilated area. It does give off a bit of a gas when you start to heat up this infusible ink. All you have to do is turn the machine on by pressing this button. It takes a few minutes to heat up. It's red, the light is red when it's powering on and heating up, and once it's ready to go, it's green. Now, the lever needs to be up to put the cup into the machine. Let's just warn you that this green area inside is extremely hot, and you want to be very careful when you're putting your mug in or taking your mug out of the machine. But since it's ready and heated up, we're going to go ahead and take our mug that we've already positioned our design on, and we're going to insert into the mug press, being careful not to touch any of the green sides. And once we've got it where we want it, we're going to go ahead and just close the lid. And you can see that the lights flashed on, and when all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights are lit up white, we'll be done and we'll be ready to take our mug out. Again, the mug press should be sitting on some type of heat-resistant mat or protective cover for whatever surface you're working on. In my case, I am using a Cricut heat mat. All right, so it just beeped and all 5 lights are now flashing. So we're gonna lift up the lever and we're going to carefully remove the mug without touching the green inserts, because again, this thing is pushing 400 degrees inside, so I'm gonna be very careful. But the mug handle is not hot at all, so I can pull that up and lift it out, set it on my heat resistant mat, and I'm gonna let it cool down for just a second. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and remove our design from our mug. And there you go. You can see how the vinyl that we used was super light and faded, but yet when we heated it up, it popped. So next we're going to do this exact same design on the other side, but we're going to use permanent vinyl. Once the Infusible ink portion is done cutting, you can stay on the same make screen and select your permanent vinyl from the list and go ahead and send that to the cutter as well. It's going to be the exact same size, so we'll go ahead and get our permanent vinyl cut and ready to send to the Cricut Maker. So we're going to take some Cricut permanent vinyl and we're going to cut this down to about 4 by 4, just like we did with the Infusible ink. Take our mat again, take off the protective cover, and take our vinyl and add it to the top of our mat. This time we're going to have the backing down and the color up. Put that on our mat. You can go ahead and send this to the maker by inserting the mat between the guides. Click the load flashing button. And then when it's ready, go ahead and click the play or go button on the maker. And when it's done cutting, go ahead and click the unload button on the maker, and then take your weeding tool and peel away the outer circle, the outer edges of the circle. And then weed your design just like you did before. All right, pop quiz time. What did I do wrong here? When I went to cut permanent vinyl, I failed to turn mirroring off. Mirroring is an option you want to turn on when you're doing infusible ink or any kind of HTV iron-on material. Because if I go to put this on my mug, it's backwards. So I'm cutting another piece right now. Yes, we all make mistakes. Lots of them, but that's how we learn. All right, so I'm weeding out what I don't need of my vinyl, but I pulled up the piece of grace that I actually want to keep. So I'm going to use my weeding tool and kind of get that to stick down. And then I can kind of guide it and move it where I need it to go. You can actually see the outline of the cut, so you know exactly where to place it. All right. So now we're going to take another piece of transfer tape, and we're going to cover our design. And we're going to use our scraper. And peel up our design. Slowly again, because you want to make sure everything got stuck. If it didn't, just kind of press down on those sections. And now we have our design in the right way. So we're going to take this design and we're going to lay it on our mug where we want it to go. Like so. Press it down really good, and then we're going to slowly peel up our transfer tape. Doing it slowly to make sure everything sticks, that nothing pulls up. Press down on any bubbles that might be there. Squeegee them out best you can. And there you have your permanent vinyl versus your infusible ink. Now the infusible ink is not something I can feel. It's infused right into the glass. It's not going to wash off, it's not going to rub off. But the heat transfer vinyl is probably only going to, it's not going to last forever. And if you are like us and you run it through the dishwasher, eventually it's going to peel up. It's recommended if you're going to do heat transfer or permanent vinyl on a glass or a mug that you hand wash everything. But there you go. That's the difference between infusible ink, permanent vinyl on a mug.